Hello and welcome to another edition of the Strategic Gaming Podcast. As always, I'm your friendly neighborhood nerd king, Mac Taylor. Here to talk to you about Survivor Island of the Idols, Episode 9. It's been a rather interesting episode, and I'm very excited to be able to talk about it. We got through the emotional part that was last episode. That was a great discussion. And also as an update, both Elizabeth and Aaron did release apology. One was a video, one was a tweet, I think. But still, it's great that they acknowledged their wrongness and how badly they handled that situation. That's great. I hope they seem to have figured it out. And as long as we can all grow as people make mistakes, and we can move on from it. Now, with that being said, we're back to the gameplay here. But Janet is feeling really low. And I totally understand why. And I understand why she played that idol. Yeah, she didn't need to, but I mean, come on. After all of that, anyone would have played an idol after that because it seemed like she was in immense danger, But she doesn't really know who to align with or where to go, and her and Karishma seem to be the kind of go-to targets, which is interesting. We'll talk about that here in a second, about Karishma being a target and not a potential goat, per se. So, and right after, these rats crawl over Karishma, and so she's kind of panicking a little bit, and it starts raining. And it rains like balls. And when they have these torrential downpours in Survivor, it really is when you see the contestants at their lowest. Because they're tired and hungry from the game itself. But there's something about getting rained on, unprotected, or at least semi-protected, but you're still getting rained on, for hours on end, not being able to sleep and stuff, that really, that's a difficult time. I have not experienced that, but as someone who has, applied for Survivor and thought about what it would be like to do this would probably be the hardest day, is just something like this, where it's just raining, and you're cold, and you're wet, and you're tired, and you're hungry, and you really gut check yourself as a human being. So understandably, it is hard for these people. And it seems like everyone is annoyed with Karishma because she just doesn't really do that much. And we've seen in the challenges, she really sucks. But, that's, now that it is an individual game, that really doesn't matter anymore. It's actually kind of a benefit that she's here. But she really is getting on people's nerves, and they do kind of want to cut her for that reason. And Nora goes on this big Nora rant about it, so it's pretty great Nora stuff there. And Karishma's throwing a pity party, and she's like, I'm not a goat, and I'm like, you are the goat of the season. Because I think Nora's kind of goatish with, she's such a crazy wild card that, of course, people are going to want to bring her to the end, because how the hell can she explain her game? There's really no rhyme or reason to how Nora plays her game. And Karishma's done nothing. So you bring both of them to the end, you win. That is the definition of a goat. So I don't really see how she thinks it's literally going to be anything else. It is absolutely fucking bonkers that she considers herself to not be a goat. But she does find an idol. Now, I don't think she'll ever need it, but I totally think she's going to play it and not need it, because that's just, she thinks she's a threat. Yeah, she does talk about getting voted out tonight, but they're going to bring her to the end. Really, at the end of the day, no one really is going to cut Karishma. They're going to talk about it. She gets on their nerves, but they're going to take her to the end because they're going to beat her. So she's going to play this idol thinking she's this big threat, and there's not going to be a single vote for her. And I can't wait for that to happen. Because I'm on the boat of, she does get really annoying because she throws this constant pity party for herself. And it's like, girl, just get your shit together and move on. Like, stop. You're really rolling in it. So we get the immunity challenge where you're on a balance beam and you're spinning a ball around this little circle thing, and you eventually have to walk down the beam while spinning this thing. It's kind of hard to keep that concentration. But they're going to be in 2 groups. That means 2 tribals. So they kind of split up the big tribe. So on the orange, we have Missy, Tommy, Elaine, Elizabeth, and Karishma. And on the purple, we have Dan, Nora, Janet, Lauren, Dean, and Aaron. And, one by one, they're kind of falling off. Like, Karishma goes out first. And everybody kind of falls out fairly quickly. And it comes down to Dean and Nora and Missy and Elaine. And Dean drops it, and Nora, celebrates and, throws it down. Because whoever won out of the teams, that winning team was going to get to go to Tribal second and get PB&J. And she literally, she wins, and she's like, I want immunity, and she threw the thing in the ground. And Dean's like, you idiot, we could have had peanut butter and jelly. And I was like, oh my god, that is such a Nora moment. She was genuinely just very excited that she wanted immunity, but she didn't think about it and just dropped it. Oh man, it was beautiful. It was truly beautiful. And Missy does drop, and Elaine wins immunity. So Missy almost won another immunity. She's really good at all these challenges. But Elaine and the ragtags on that orange tribe. I'm sorry, Elaine and those ragtags on the purple. Nope. Elaine and those ragtags on the orange. God, I had confused myself. Good Lord, that was terrible. They won their PB&J in the second tribe. So basically, and also they go to the old Lyro camp, and Aaron's super pissed that he's back at Lyro. But he thinks, hey, it's Karishma and Janet, but both teams got an easy vote. Nothing should happen. And Nora's like, I want Aaron out because, good Lord, the guy's won 2 back-to-back immunities. He's standing there wide open. Talks about him being like a deer just left out in the open. We got a perfect shot. And, I totally agree with this 100%. Someone like Aaron, who knows how many times he'll be open, how many times he'll lose immunity. So now's the perfect opportunity to take him off the board. So I do think Nora made a really good assessment, and everybody else seems to have the same mindset, like the Dans and the Janets. Yes. Janet's happy to say anybody but herself, but Dan's like, yeah, that's a great idea. And Lauren's like, yeah, of course we take out Aaron. But Dean, he's like, oh, no. Because if Aaron goes out, then I'm the biggest physical threat. And really, no one's looked at Dean. Dean is blended in very seamlessly to this group. I think just because he's not that great with strategy. So I think at this point, a lot of strategy is happening, and everyone's not worried about Dean. I feel like Dean's going to get plucked around 6-5, somewhere in there. But he still wants Janet to go out because he wants Aaron in front of him. Which, again, it's a decently sound plan. But at the same time, if Aaron's just going to go on a winning streak, you're not going to win. So Dan's conflicted. He's like, on one hand, I get wanting to keep Aaron. But on the other hand, I really don't want to keep Aaron. Because Dan also has this talk with Janet, and they realign. They're willing to work together. After all that shit that happened in the last episode, they're willing to pull it back. Let's strategize and let's do this thing. I trust you, trust me. Which I did not expect to happen. So, kudos to Janet and to Dan, in a sense, to be able to really put all that personal stuff behind them. And let's move forward in the game. So that was pretty actually cool to see. But Missy, she's turned her sights on Tommy because she's like, this is the time to split up Tommy and Lauren so we could take Lauren in, and then now I'm running the show. And honestly, this was a really good strategy because I've been saying for a while now, Tommy and Lauren are just squeaking by as a duo, man. Like, they're going way too far. No one is recognizing their threat level. And Missy's like, hey, got to split those two up. And I'm like, yeah, it's exactly what I've been saying this whole time. So I'm glad that someone's going to try to enact it. I don't want it to happen because I'm kind of rooting for Lauren and Tommy. But definitely a very sound assessment. So Missy goes to Karishma and she's like, hey, look, this is how I want the vote to go. And Karishma's like, nope, I don't want to talk to you. And like, and she calls her a bully and everything. And I'll talk about this in a second, but is Missy very dry and kind of bossy? Yes. And is she stern and maybe a little emotionless? Yes. Is she a bully? I don't really think so, especially with how the conversation went. But again, we'll talk about that in a second. And Elaine talks to Karishma, and she's like, well, I don't really like how Missy's treating you, and I'm willing to turn on Elaine. Or I'm willing to turn on Missy. And Elaine really is, like, preseason, she said she wanted to be, like, a female Rupert. And I think she really is a female Rupert. In the sense of, like, she's all heart, all loyalty. And, you know, she feels like Karishma's being treated poorly, and because of that, she's going to make a move against Missy. So I do see a lot of Rupert-esque qualities to Elaine, which I hate to break it to her, but that does not get the win. But she calls Tommy Big Red when she goes to talk to him about his name being brought up by Missy. And I'm like, is this a thing they've been doing all season? Because this is the first time we've really heard that name, but I thought it was funny. So Tommy's like, yeah, if she's throwing my name up, she is a big player in this game. I'll totally vote against her. And Karishma's like, I'm the person everyone wants, and I'm running the game. And I'm like, Karishma, you're a vote right now, but you're in control of the game as much as Christy Smith was in control of the Amazon, which is none. So Aaron is also pretty confident. He's like, Karishma and Janet are going to go. It's pretty cut and dry. And going to the tribal, Boston Rob's making fun of Dean because he's rolling up his sleeves again, trying to show off his muscles. So, but Rob and Sandra, they have nothing to do. They're just having fun with these people, I think. So the vote comes out 5-1 with the first group, and Aaron voted out. And honestly, my final thoughts on Aaron is he played too hard too fast. At the beginning, he kind of got blindsided with the Ronnie thing and was kind of scrambling to become part of this Lyro alliance and then the new Vokai alliance. But he burned some bridges, I think, and was never able to repair them, and winning 2 immunities in a row that he did not need because he knew where the vote was going. It was just a bad idea. Should have kept that threat level lower. And honestly, if he would have just tanked those comps, probably could have done so. So then the other tribe comes in, and they see Aaron is gone. And Elizabeth is like, oh my God. And Jeff's like, what? And she's like, he was like one of my number ones. Like, what? Something happened that was not on plan. And then Missy puts Karishma on blast at Tribal about the bully comment. And this is what comes into play. Missy, like I said, she's very dry, very emotionless, but she's not a bully. Like, when she was telling Karishma where the vote was going to go, or she wanted the vote to go, she wasn't like, you better do that, because a bully would be, and you better do that or else we're going to vote you out. She said, this is what I want to do. I think this is the time to do it. And Karishma was like, I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. So really, Karishma was being kind of bratty back to Missy. Like, she's being very bratty. She's like, you're not going to tell me what to do, little girl, and things like that. And I'm like, you're acting really tough for somebody who's literally got 0% control of this game. You're going to go to the final 3, most likely, yes. But you are not going to get a single vote. And especially treating Missy like that, you're cementing the fact that you're not even going to get a consideration for a vote. So I think Karishma is playing one of the worst Survivor games in the history of Survivor. And Missy does bring up, I guess, that, when her and Aaron held immunity at the same time, it was the first time, I guess, that two African-American people had held the immunity challenges. She said the first people to go in the game is usually the women and the minorities. I am a woman and a minority, and I have won immunity. And Jeff's like, well, I didn't really even think about it. And that I also probably wouldn't have brought it up because I just didn't know the brevity of the situation. But that's an interesting point you're making. But also I think that last tribal council with the Dan stuff, there was a lot to unpack with that. And I don't think there was any, there was no way we could squeeze that in. But I'm glad it was talked about, and that's awesome. The women in this season are finding the idols, and they're kicking ass. There's not a lot of guys left in the game. It's just Dean and Tommy and Dan. So, I mean, the girls, hats off to them, man. They brought their A games. So the vote comes out 3-2. Missy is blindsided here, and Elizabeth is crying because her two closest allies in the game went out back to back. And I'm sure that was crushing for her. And Missy's like, okay, going around, and Elaine tells her, hey, I did what I had to do for my game. And I'm like, ooh, you probably should have said that, right this second. And then Missy goes to Elizabeth that was like, you gotta kill Elaine now, slowly. And I'm like, damn, girl, it's a game. Settle down a little bit. It's just, she went out in a boisterous way, but at the same time, she's blindsided. She's assessing. Great blindside. Missy had a lot of really good gameplay. I actually do think Missy will get brought back. I think if really anybody's gonna get brought back from this season, I think it's probably gonna be Missy because she would play a good game. But she got a little too comfortable and maybe a little too, she didn't have enough emotion with people. She just came across robotic and kind of bossy, and that's not the way to take full control of the game. And then in the scenes for the next episode, we'd see that there's a meeting of the goats, quote unquote, because I don't think. But Lauren and Tommy are somehow in this meeting. I'm like, guys, they're gonna go so far because they're in that meeting too, together. Oh man, okay, cannot wait for next week's episode because of that. So we're gonna go ahead and do these player rankings. We're gonna start off with Dan. I got him at a 6 because he really came a long way since the last episode as far as his stance in the game, and he set himself up in a good spot to where no one's looking at Dan right now. I think he'll go pretty far into it. Unless something major happens, I'd say he gets about 7th, 6th, somewhere in there. Janet, I gave her a 5. She was looking real rough going into this episode, and she managed to really smooth it out to break even. I don't think she's in a great spot, but I don't think she's in a bad spot either. And most of it is not her fault. Dean, I also gave a 5 to, because literally he's given me nothing. I don't really have much from him. Nora, I give a 4 to. Nora, because while she is so Nora, she's gonna probably be in the final 3, and she sometimes shows signs of a normal person with strategy, but then her Nora comes out. Lauren, I gave an 8 to, because I actually think of everybody. Lauren, because if someone's gonna take a shot at Lauren and Tommy, we saw who they're taking a shot at tonight. Tommy. They don't want to take a shot at Lauren. Lauren's not threatening to those people, and I think if they let her, I think they've already let her get too far. But if they let her get just a little further, this girl's like almost like a clutch to win this game. I think. Oh man, I would be so, if Tommy or Lauren win this season, I think I'm totally satisfied because they are both playing extremely hard. I gave Tommy a 7 just because, like I said, if someone's gonna get taken out of the duo, it's Tommy. But he does, I think, have more ability to win immunity. So if it comes down to a Final 5 situation of Karishma, Nora, or I'm sorry, a Final 4 situation of Karishma, Nora, Tommy, and Lauren, Tommy's probably going to win that last immunity and then, cut Lauren. But I think Lauren is the better strategist. Karishma, I gave it 2. I bumped her up 1 point because she had a lot in this episode and she has an idol and maybe she does something with that. I don't know, but I'll give her a 2. Not winning this game, but she doesn't get a 1. Elaine, I gave 6 to. I almost gave her a 4 because she made a move, but people are going to be looking at her as a social threat, as no one wants to sit next to Elaine at the end, just like Rupert. And I think, keep it up, she might go out in the first Rupert spot of 8th place. And Elizabeth, I gave a 3 to. And I think I gave her like a 7 or something last time. She fell hard because Aaron, boom, gone. Missy, boom, gone. Elaine flipped. She has nobody in this game. But at the same time, she's still threatening, and I think they should totally take her out soon because, if left unattended, she could potentially make a break for the win. We're down to the nitty gritty. We started with 20 people. We're down to 9. 11 people have been voted out of the game. So it's time to get serious, to focus in and figure out not only who's a big physical threat, who's a strategic threat, who is nobody talking about. And that's the person we should probably get out. Because someone like Lauren and Tommy could be a huge threat to us in the end. If you're Lauren and Tommy, Elaine's someone you need to worry about. Or Dean is someone you need to worry about. And Janet is someone you need to worry about. The people who aren't being talked about as much, especially Dean. If people just let him float for too much longer, he has potential to win immunity, I think. So with that ends my discussion of IOI Episode 9. What did you guys think of the episode? Let me know on social media, down in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe. I got plenty of things on the way, guys. I'm so excited to have been going down the Survivor journey. Until next time, I'm Mac Taylor.